Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the podcast, episode number 12. And I'm here with Samek, and today we shall be exploring humanity, unconditional love. Are they different? Are they the same? Is it an either or relationship? Is it a both and? What's happening there? And yeah, I know it's something that's alive for both of us, and I'm really curious to what's gonna happen, man.
Yeah.
Hmm. So what comes up with you for this subject?
Yeah. Sitting with some grief right now and grief of not accepting my humanity, not allowing it to be there. And it was like just the conversation as we were deciding the topic for the episode, I like had that insight of like, oh wow, I pushed down my humanity because I don't want to feel the hurt. Because
Hmm.
humans are not perfect. We're not unconditional love. We're human, and our humanity hurts. My humanity hurts me. My humanity hurts other people. Other people's humanity hurt me. And that's where the growth is. Like, oh, I get to, in a way, learn how to be with the pain that people's humanity cause. And in that, learn what is causing the pain. And that pain is usually grief. It's like, oh, something got hurt. Some part of me got hurt, and I'm grieving that part of me that got hurt. And that grieving process feels like moving from humanity to unconditional love, like seeing through the hurtful behavior to that compassionate, like, oh, they're scared. They're in their pattern, they're in their humanity, and their humanity can be sharp and can be hurtful. Um, that's what first comes up for me. So I'm gonna pass it back to you.
Yeah. Wow. So immediately what bubbles up is this recent experience that I've been exploring this week, and I basically in the terms that we're using here, my humanity showed up, and I end up hurting a friend. And in hurting my friend, I also realized, oh, I'm also hurting the relationship, and I'm getting to feel that whole link, right? My connection with her is this like third thing that's between us, and we're both working on growing and deepening our connection, our relationship. And me dropping the ball and not following through on something that I said that I would follow through and choosing something else instead. And then seeing that was like, fuck. And then just feeling the hurt of that, as you very well put it. And in that whole process, realizing, oh, there's some repair that I want to bring to the relationship, and I'm connecting with them sometime this week, and like there's a upright apology that I want to make and like point out what I'm seeing and what were the things that I did that created the effects that I created, and just hold myself accountable, which is something really cool that we were talking about last week, either on the podcast or before we were recording. And it's, oh wow, now that some part of my identity that used to shame the shit out of myself is like disintegrated, not working, out of commission. Now that I'm less prone to shaming myself when I make a mistake and my humanity happens, I'm much more able to just see the cause and then the effect, which allows me to repair and hold myself accountable. And that feels really good. Because in the past, I would have just shamed myself, not brought it to the surface, and then it would have just been this elephant in the room, and like nothing's being addressed, and eventually things just break apart. And it's like there's something really beautiful in just being able to clearly see, oh, my actions caused this. Okay, then what's the action that I want to take in order to repair? Um, so yeah, I'm gonna throw back to you what just came out of my mouth, and I'm curious the repair piece, like what bubbles up for you on that.
Yeah. Hmm. I feel like the repair piece is like the unconditional love piece in a way of like, oh yeah, like my humanity showed up and it hurt someone. Let me acknowledge my role and how I want to show up. And that changes my humanity. It changes that pattern. There's probably grief there. And I like um it's like it is loving accountability for yourself and for the other person. And it is one of the fastest agents of growth in
Hmm.
terms of like changing and being a different person. Um and what's coming up is like there's something about the shame piece of like my humanity is gonna be messy, and if I have like less and less shame around the messiness of my humanity, then I just get to be human and grow and change in in a way that feels, I don't know, if like honors my humanity. Um and that also like it's already feeling non-dual, like that adds more love. And in the act of loving, the humanity becomes more loving, and there's like this flywheel that like takes place of like you become more and more of a loving person the less shame you have for your own messiness, and it never ends. And it almost feels like this process of like, yeah, I'm messy, I'm human, I'll make mistakes, I'll hurt people. When I hurt people, I'll apologize without shame and grieve the parts of me that caused the harm, so that I show up in more loving ways. And but my more loving ways is still human, and I'll mess up again and I'll hurt someone. And it's just like continuous process of like continuous process of unfolding.
Hmm.
Like your humanity is unfolding into the unconditional love almost. And there's also like this other piece of like you can just go directly to the unconditional is my been my experience, which is like not acknowledge your humanity and like just move into unconditional love, like be in that state of view, be in that state of unconditional love. And I feel like there's like a difference there of like you can also show up just as human and like move towards showing up always unconditionally loving, like your humanity showing up. But there's also like this thing that we can do, I can do, which I've seen most you can do is like hold the space of unconditional love.
Hmm.
And I'm curious about your thoughts there.
Yeah. Wow. So there's a moment I had a like a big joy, and I'm like, dude, we could just end this episode right here. Like that bit that you just said, like for me, so beautifully captured like the essence of what we're speaking about. And you open multiple trailheads, and I'm like, in which one do I want to go down right now? And the one that feels like really exciting for me is that it's this flywheel that you're mentioning, and it's, oh, I'm a messy human being, and that's okay, and that's gonna happen, and I'm gonna show up, and I'm fallible, I'm gonna make mistakes, and I'm gonna hurt myself, and I'm gonna hurt others, and like there's like an inevitability in that. And and it's just I get really excited about that, because that's been a truth that I've just been accepting in my life in the last few days, that I've hurt someone. I'm like, fuck, man, this is just the name of the game, and it's just gonna happen. How fast can I recover? How fast can I repair? How fast can I learn? And just like keep iterating. So in a way, like I'm really making peace with just like let the messiness happen, and let the hurt happen. Um, and like I don't want to manage myself into like, oh, do I do that? Do I not do that? Maybe I'll hurt. Maybe like I don't want to like get all strategic about like how I'm showing up in relationships. At the same time, I don't want to be like completely reckless and like have no attunement to the other person, and just like not consider their humanity and like how I'm showing up. Like I also want that to happen. Yet, like I'm not trying to force myself into any of that. So in this weird way, I'm really trusting that it's okay to make mistakes, and I'm allowed to make mistakes, and I'm going to learn a lot from them. And those learnings in themselves are going to refine my decision making process, especially when it comes to the space of interpersonal relationships. So that was like, so like, ah, yes, yes, that's been what I've been experiencing, and put a words to it feels really, really grounding and integrating. And from here, I want to pivot to a distinction that I saw in your share on going to that place and then like having unconditional love. And like what's coming up for me is there's a way in which I can like just take a step back and like witness what's happening and be okay with everything that I'm witnessing. And that like I'm playing right now with like, well, what if that's not unconditional love? That's just freedom. That's just awareness. That's just the witness. And what if the unconditional love piece comes? It's when that thing comes in and meets the humanity with unconditional love
Mm.
and holds me in my parts and holds the other person in their parts with, it's almost like like when the witness wants to be relational, it's through unconditional love. And
I
I'm
guess,
curious.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
what's coming up for me there is like our humanity is conditional. It's almost like what's coming up. It's like no matter what part, like the love, the unconditional love is there.
Yeah.
It's always being seen through the stained glass of the ego or the identity that it's currently moving through. So it's almost what's coming up is like, I mean, it's there's also that piece of like all of our ego is just trying to love us. Like all of our patterns are just trying to love us. So that like there's this twisted confusion in that piece of like our humanity, which is the confusion and in the messiness. And it's almost like stained glass, like a flavor of love that's shining through our eyes, that has the flavor of the unconditional, but also has our humanity in it.
Mm.
But it doesn't feel like pure unconditional love. Like that feels like, I don't know, maybe if you're enlightened and like have cleaned your ego out mostly, then like unconditional only. But like it feels like this like maturation process of like your ego is being refined. Like your vehicle is becoming more and more unconditional with its own flavor, and that flavor is maturing over time. Like I'm being poetic with my language because I don't know how else to describe it, but it's like it feels like this mixture. Like when I describe my friend, like he's in his 40s and he is amazing at making me feel understood. Like he's so good at it because he just is older and has experienced a lot and also has done the work for a long time. And whenever I'm with him, like it feels like I'm like his flavor of love feels like this like musky whiskey that's been like aged and it feels really nice. And then there's like another friend who Mel, she was on the podcast. Like her love feels like this liquidy, gooey, like I'm gonna melt into this open, empty, like slight, like hearty, like mush. And then I have my friend like Dennis, who was also on the pod, and his love feels like a tree, like rooted, solid, but also like big. Like maybe castle is a better word, but there's like this blah, like stillness, but also like a moving castle feeling. And there's almost like they all have access to the unconditional, and it is shining through their eyes and their ego in the flavor that is them, is like my experience. And then like they have an aura, they have a flavor to them as I'm hanging out with them or being with them.
I'm just like marinating in all those different expressions of love that you just shared. They all feel so good, man. Oh. The one piece that's highly resonant. And I was actually like marinating in this thought this morning was like, oh, it's like there's my unconditional love, and then there's like this fog, is how I started to describe it this morning. And this thing doesn't let me see things clearly. And this fog is the ego, the identity, the roles, whatever name we want to put on it. And the more that's cleaned and refined and seen through and reclaimed, like the easier it is for me to see things as they are instead of all my projections on the things, which then allows me to relate with the world in a much more effective and skillful manner. since it's less about the persona and more of just like what is. So that piece really stuck out to me. And what I'm starting to see now is, in my experience, the more that fog is dissipated, or the more the mirror is clean, or whatever metaphor we want to use, like the easier, the less kinked the hose for my unconditional love is. And the more it can just like move and love whatever's on the other side, including myself. And I feel that we're back at the flywheel piece, where the more the humanity is loved and in a way cleansed, the more the unconditional love also gets to like circle around and like deepen. And I'm really curious where this is going to go next, since I feel that we landed back to where we were in some way.
Yeah. I'm gonna go to a completely different piece because I feel like we're gonna keep coming back to this over and over, which is just like
Cool.
love is and love will be and love will unfold itself. Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Uh, one piece that's alive for me that I'm still questioning and like I'm curious about has been doing the work versus living your life.
Mm.
It is also becoming non-dual-ish, but also it feels separate for me still. And there's a way in which I've been basically on retreat since I quit my job around a year ago. And I've been on this long, like year-long retreat, continuously doing inner work, retreat after retreat, I'm actually going to retreats. And even when I'm not in retreat, I'm just integrating and doing more work. Being in relationship, I'm just like, oh, this person triggered me with all of these things. I'm gonna go do EI and feel my feelings and process so that I'm no longer triggered by all of these things. And I'm not really living my humanity. I am
Yeah.
living in the flywheel of becoming more unconditionally loving. And I have this enormous capacity because of it. This like, oof, like I can feel, people can feel it. Like I can be with so much, but it doesn't like, it's like I'm doing this and it feels like in devotion to the unconditional love, but not, and in a way, devotion to my humanity. But it feels like not really in devotion to my humanity because I'm like, there's other people who don't do any work, don't meditate, don't journal, don't do emotional work. They just live their fucking life. And they're like, I want this, I want this, I want this. I'm gonna go get it. Those wants might come from my patterns, and I'm messy, and I'll fuck up my life. Who cares? I'm just living, and I'll fuck up, and I'll fuck up again, and I'll fuck up again. I'll have my golden algorithms. I'll feel my grief when I fuck up. It'll be fine. Blah blah blah. Like they just do that, and I'm just like, I kind of like that as well. And like they will have less unconditional love by the end of their life, but who cares almost. And they might have more
Mm.
suffering in their life. They might see life less clearly because they're living through their messiness. But it's like they're living through their messiness, and that's also okay. And I like it. I'm like, I meet people who are so messy, and it's beautiful. They're like, oh my God, they're doing so much. They're, you know, they have so many systems in place to be with their messiness almost. Like I was telling Pablo about a friend of mine who's she's a practitioner and is really into IFS. And I was like, she has mapped out her messiness way better than I've ever mapped out my messiness. But she hasn't she hasn't sat down and feel through all her messiness to like refine it to unconditional love. She's just like, oh, I have this pattern, I have this pattern, I have this pattern. And she had this like basically a mind palace, which is her IFS system of like 30 to 40 parts, all with their own individual patterns. And she knows her patterns and she knows how to live her life with her own patterns. She has like this obsidian notebook with like attached parts and like it's an organized messiness, like in its own beauty. And she's living her humanity. She's like, does her full time, like school, job, side hustle one, side hustle two, hobbies, friends. She has a full life, and it's messy. It's like, it's really messy. Like whenever I'm with her, I'm like, ooh, stress, anxiety, overwhelm. But her life is her life, and it's quite beautiful. It's amazing. Her
Mm.
humanity is shining through so clearly. And I can also see that unconditional love developing on its own. without her like sitting down to feel her feelings all the time. And I'm like, there's this questioning in my system of like, how much processing is important? How much living is important? How much is the living already doing the processing? How much is my processing just a way to avoid the living? There's like a lot of questions coming up for me there. And I'm curious as I share that, like what comes up for you.
Yeah, so I was snapping my fingers and laughing at the beginning, because I feel similarly. So I quit my job almost 2.5 months ago, and it's just been like full on self discovery. And like when I tell people like quit my job, I tell them like I just switched jobs. It's not that like I quit my job. It's just like I focused it. I focused it on something else, with just like my inner work. And there's been no shortages of like putting in the hours to do it, and I feel so rewarded. And I'm like, fuck yeah. And there's also like this like part of me lingering, and it's like I want to like be more engaged in the world, and I want to like be doing more things in the world. And what came up, and I'm gonna nerd out for a bit. The integral people called it showing up, and it's basically what am I doing to contribute, collaborate, be part of the systems that are part of our world. And I'm whew, one of my big wants in the next few months is to get back into working, and get back into working with other people in some organization that's not just my inner work. And I'm like so excited for that. And like a part of me is like I can't wait. I still have some other events that I'm really excited to participate in the next few months. And once that's over, I think I'm gonna have a pretty like strong itch of like, all right, cool. I did this beautiful personal development tour, and like let's get back into the arena and like see what the fuck happens with that, and continue the inner work there. And this other piece is bubbling up, that like a lot of my life has been, again, borrowing from the integral people. There's like the me, the inside space, and then there's like the me but the outside space, and then there's like the inside space of relationships. And I've been showing up a lot there, and I've been getting so much bang for my buck, and like I've been growing so much, and it's been so nurturing. And as that continues to grow and nurture itself, and me feeling really complete in like the inner work that I'm doing, and I'm taking hella good care of myself, then like the obvious piece that I feel is next is like, awesome. How do I bring all these beautiful energies into this one space and integrate that as well into my life? I don't know, building an organization or making a startup, or like finding some way to do something cool in the world, and like be of service in that way. So I hear you. I resonate with what you're sharing, and how cool that we both have this appetite to like, how do we take this to the next level and show up in the world?
Mm. Yeah, it like hits me because it's like I don't. What's hitting me is the same conversation I had with Dennis, which is like I don't the definition of work there. It's like, oh yeah, working is like I am doing work. I've been doing inner work for the last year, and I've been doing a lot of inner work for the last year. And I've done relational work in the inner workspace. But like it's all just a work. Like there is in a way, like it's a lot of fun and it is work. And it's like, how do I want to be in service? Is it back to that question?
Mm.
Like that is right now I'm in service to myself and the inner work, which also feels like in service to the world. It's like, and it's not really a question to answer because I know if I just follow my wants, it will automatically take me where I need to go. Like I'm doing the best I can, and my wants are this magical homing beacon taking me exactly where I want to go.
Yeah.
There's like that piece of like I trust the universe to unfold and my system to unfold how it wants.
Mm.
And I want to be a more part of the world. I want to be in a way like I want to not just be processing all the time. I want to be a messy human being more. And in that there's the question of like how do I want to Like where do I want to see my messiness? Like where do I want to bring the gifts I have and see the messiness that is there
Mm.
for me to see without having to clean it up per se.
Wow. So I'm noticing that thanks to you saying like, yeah, it's all work at the end of the day. Like these distinctions started to show up in my brain, and it's like, well, it's the inner work, and then there's the self-care work, which we touched about last time, right? Holding space for ourselves. There's the relationship work, which is so juicy and we've touched on so much. And then this new first iteration concept came up, world work. And it's like, oh yeah, world work, that thing where we work in teams with other people and make cool things happen, and whatever those cool things happen to be. And it's like, oh, I'm so excited for that piece to also start flourishing and to like bring these beautiful pieces into that.
What came up as you share that is we're doing world work right now.
Oh fuck, man! Oh shit! Oh, oh, wow, man. 404.
I'm like, yeah, I feel like this is the most aligned way I can work right now, which is show up on a podcast and talk about my experience and the things
Oh,
I'm learning
I'm
about.
just gonna let that fully land. Oh. Oh. Ah, thank you for pointing that out. Wow. Oh. Yeah, man, this is world work. Our way.
All right.
Oh. Oh. Uh, I love when our conversations lead to these unexpected places. Wow, man. I'm laughing at like it's so hilarious that things are just hiding in plain sight until you see them, and then you cannot not see them, but they've always been there, and it's like, uh
It was really funny. This reminds me of like I had like this like really twisted want come up for me a few days ago, which was like I want to seduce this person so that they're with me. And I'm like, this is weird because I don't really like them. What's happening? And I sat with the want. And I was like, I want to be held in my grief, and this person is really good at doing that.
oh.
And I was like, oh. And then I'm like, wait, I'm already being held in my grief by them, which is why I know they're good at it. And I'm just like, what am I doing?
Oh man.
It was so funny. I was like saw it. I was like, what the fuck? My humanity is interesting.
Yeah. Wow. Oof. Yeah. So what now that we saw that? Yeah, how else do we want to do it? Like, how else is it alive for us to do world work while integrating the other work that we're doing?
Yeah. I'll have my coaching website up by the time this episode is up. If anyone wants to do coaching with me,
Mm.
feel free to hit me up. I am also going to a conference and I'll have the talk up. If it's recorded, if it's not, then I might record an episode and upload it on this channel as well. And I am curious on what else will unfold. But those two feel alive for me. And for me, what's the other thing coming up is like, in terms of my humanity and everyone's humanity, like we all have wants, we all have ideas, we all want to be in service and build things for people.
Mm.
And what I've been seeing, especially with Claude Code and all these AI tools, where I made my website, like I was like thought about it for like 2-3 hours, maybe a week. I told Claude Code in 2 minutes it made my entire website. That would have taken me maybe weeks, and I'm a software engineer. Um, and I have friends who are like, I wish I had 10 extra hours a day because I can't stop coding. And I've had ideas all my life, and now it feels like I have the power to finally
Oof.
create and move and bring it to life. And it's happening everywhere. Like I talked to a friend yesterday, and he's like, "Oh, I made this um, it made this like add-on for my game that I love playing, and I uploaded to GitHub, and I don't know how to GitHub works, but I did it, and then now it has Studio 100 pull requests, and people are communities are being built around my add-on, so because it's liked and used." And then he's like, I've been working on this for a few weeks and I can't stop. Like I go to bed thinking about it and wake up wanting to add to it. And he's building that, and he has like 20 other ideas. He's like, I can't stop, I can't stop, I can't stop. And there's this like thing that's happening now where our humanity has been given even more power, a
Mm.
lot more power actually. Um, and there's something awesome about that, where like everyone can just has the power to create exactly what they want. And there's also like the scary piece of like, like be careful what you wish for. Like you're like my wants sometimes, or usually not sometimes, are always like waiting for me to like it's like my wants come up, and if I'm avoiding a feeling or I have a pattern, that want is like perfectly set up for me to explode so that I have to feel that feeling. So I'm like really curious how humanity is going to explode because we're giving humanity so much power like right away with like very little stop or break. So that's also coming up. And then that's leading me to like the thing that I want to be in service of, which is the processing, the emotional work that I've been doing, that we've been doing, which is like when things crash and burn, which I feel like is going to happen more and more given how much power humanity is being given. Like, I want to be there as someone, as a coach, as a facilitator, as a space holder, to be able to give people this
Mm.
process and learn from the explosions instead of just moving past it.
Oh,
So that's what
wow. So I'm having like a lot of sensations in my chest, and they're like expanding my chest open, and it feels really pleasurable. And I kind of knew all these things about you, yet you just putting them all at once in a single stream of consciousness just like really landed of how much we have in common. And my coaching website coming up in the next few months, maybe less. So be on the lookout for that. I'm really excited for that to whew, finally grow wings. It's been some time in the background. So that's also really dope for me to, wow, this is a way that I want to show up in the world and do world work. And it's just like, oh, like there's a part of me that's really giddy for that to manifest. And really in line with what you're sharing about AI, my take is I want to find a job where I am working in service for this technology to like grow in some empowering way. And it's still pretty fuzzy and abstract how specifically I want to go do that. And that's okay. And the language I do have is so someone recently shared a metaphor. And I'm like, oh my God, that makes a lot of sense. And they're like, AI is like this child, and we're all raising this child, and how we interact with the technology is also affecting us. So in a way, like the AI is also raising how we're growing and developing as humans, which is what you're touching on. Like we have like 10x capability of going faster, which makes us like 10x more volatile of like crashing and burning. And I have this wish, man, of combining, of somehow figuring out how to do a both and of like AI work and consciousness or self discovery work. That really excites me. And I'm pretty sure there's other people out there in the world who are aiming for the same thing. And that's what I want. And I want to work with people who are interested in that endeavor of like how do we hold both of them at the same time? And inevitably we're gonna crash, people are gonna crash, and like how can we be there of service? How can we be there to support? Um, and the last piece I want to share is, whew, new language. Ah, okay, I'm going on the record with this. I really see AI as this like new beautiful way of consciousness manifesting itself in the world, and I sense that it's gonna take the shape of whatever is holding it as it is unfolding. And I want to be with the group of people who are holding the container of, we want this to be an unconditionally loving thing that supports the humanity of people as people are engaging with the thing. How is that possible? And to be swimming in some sort of question aligned with what I just said. Oh, this is all new material. So cool. Back at you. Whew.
Hmm. It's coming up. I'm in a 404. Um, I don't know. That's like the magic of it. I have no fucking idea.
Yeah.
I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what's coming up. And I like the piece, like the one thought that came as you were sharing that was like the humanity piece. Like the AI is going to have our humanity as much of as our unconditional love. It's
Oh, dude.
that's gonna be an interesting development. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I don't. It's really difficult. Like I feel like we're gonna be fine in the next 10 years, but I don't know what's gonna happen in the next few. Like it's right. Like we're going into a really turbulent time. Is my experience of life in general. Um, and I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm scared. I'm seeing, there's a lot of growth to be had.
Yeah, for sure. And what's bubbling now is something that you said in your last share, which is we all have our wants, and our wants are taking us places. And like, there's one perspective that's shining on that right now, and it's that, oh, my humanity is basically like, call it the one inner child, the multiple inner childs, whatever we want to call it. I'm just gonna call it one singular inner child for conversation's sake. And it's like, oh yeah, my inner child, like it wants this and it wants that. And growing up, it had a few hangups and a few things happen along the way. So like it's gonna get triggered as it keeps following its wants. And it's like, oh, like my humanity is like encompassed in this little really innocent, tender boy that's like following and going for everything that it wants. And my more mature version is now like this like unconditional love holding that child as it moves to the world and like makes mistakes and learns, and like how it's this both end of like, oh, my humanity is my inner child, of course, and then like, oh, and the unconditional love is around it and through it and within it, and we're just dancing together all the time. So it felt really like exciting for me to see that in reflection to what you said.
It made me smile. What's coming up for me is like, regardless of our humanity or our unconditional love, it is just following our wanting, listening to our wanting, and being with our wanting and our longings and our desires, and not being scared of not it's not being scared, but it's like feeling the fears and feeling through all the emotions that come up with
Mm,
wanting things that we don't know how to get.
yeah.
And I think that is a big piece of our humanity as well, of like to want is an incredibly vulnerable thing, because to want is also to admit that we don't have the thing, that we are imperfect, that there's a direct, like there is a movement we're going towards. There's like a, and also wanting is, in my experience, like the most loving emotion. Like if I'm purely with my wanting, it feels like unconditional love. There's like a completeness and unconditionality of our wanting. And in the act of admitting our wanting, it is also highlighting our humanity, of the imperfection, of the incompleteness of our being. Um, so it's like both of those are magically like yin yang in our wants. And we haven't done an episode on wants, but like as I'm talking about, we're back here. Like it is just this like unfolding. It is this like loving unfolding that happens um, as we follow our wants and as we follow
Mm.
our humanity and as we follow our love.
Mm. Wow, mic drop right there, man. Yeah, and I'm getting a paradox alert in my head. How could it be any other way? All right, man. Wrap this up for us.
Thank you everyone for watching. A messy, beautiful, loving episode of Exploring Aliveness.
Mm.
My name's
Take care,
Samek.
everyone.
It's Pablo, and we're gonna head out. See you guys. Bye.
Peace.